to this new video. In this video I'm going to show you 6 tips and techniques with which you can become a more efficient editor in Premiere Pro. I especially recommend this video for beginners to kickstart your learning process in this program. These 6 tips will definitely support you in reducing the hours you put into editing, and yeah, I myself use them every day, pretty much. So tip number 1 is to keep your folders tidy and organized and then import the whole folder into Premiere Pro. So if you look at my organization right here, I have a folder each for my footage, for my images and for my sound. So after organizing all of your files and folders, just import the whole folder into Premiere Pro, just drag and drop it, and there you go. You have a bin with all your footage inside, same with the sound and the images, and it's all organized already in the project. Tip number 2 is to understand and customize your workspaces. Why is it so bright? Why does the sun have to come out now? I'm just trying to quickly film this video. Location change, I hope this setting here is not all that ugly. So, tip number 2 is understand and customize your workspaces. Your workspace is basically just the arrangement of your panels. For example, this panel is called the timeline, this panel is called the source monitor, etc. And you can arrange your panels in different ways suited for the certain purpose you need it for right now. So for example, when color grading, I like to enlarge my program monitor because I can then see very well what exactly I'm grading and what effects my settings have. And I also like to enlarge the telemetry settings. However, both of these two things lead to a quite small and tiny timeline which I can't really work in properly. That is not a problem because this workspace is for color grading. When I want to edit in the timeline, I just click on editing at the top, and as you can see, your workspace has completely changed. All the panels are arranged in a way that you can easily edit in your timeline. So instead of painfully moving around the panels manually every time you want to do something else, just use the workspaces and you can customize them to your liking. Tip number 3 is only import video or audio into your timeline. So as you know, most of my videos are a mixture of speaking clips like this one, in which I need the audio and the video of each clip, and also some cinematic sequences in which the only audio you hear is the music and some sound effects, but you don't hear my voice or whatever I'm doing behind the camera. So in that case, you might inefficiently just drag in the whole clip and then unlink the two and then delete the audio. But you can do this in a much faster way. So usually when you're reviewing your clips, you just double click on the clip and then you see it in the source monitor, you set your in and out points, and then you drag the whole clip into your sequence. So now let's say you're making a cinematic sequence and you only want to drag in the video part, you don't need the audio. So instead of deleting the audio after you dragged it in there, just use one of these two icons. This icon right here will only drag the video into the timeline, and this icon right here will only drag the audio into the timeline. So you just drag and drop the icon instead of the actual image. And there you have it. You don't need to delete it anymore. It will save you a few seconds, and all of this adds up together to a good few minutes. And in a week of editing, you'll be saving a few hours. So tip number 4 is to use and customize your keyboard shortcuts. To be a fast editor, you need to be using keyboard shortcuts anyway, but you probably know that already. But you know what can make you even more efficient? That is customizing your shortcuts and even creating your own keyboard shortcuts. So the first thing I recommend for you to do is edit a lot of videos, and after that experience you will come to know which keyboard shortcuts you tend to use a lot. So for example, in my case, I cut my videos with the Add Edit tool, which you get by pressing Command K. By doing that, your video is going to be cut exactly the frame where you are on at the moment. But what I recommend is that any shortcut you use a lot, which requires you to hit more than one key, customize it so that you only hit one key. So I customized my shortcut to be only K. So now I only hit K to make a cut, and you might think this is a little ridiculous and it's going a little too far with saving the few seconds, but I'm telling you, it will all add up and your editing workflow will just become way more pleasant. So the second thing I recommend for you is creating your own keyboard shortcuts. So let's say you use a tool which doesn't have a shortcut. In my case, that would be when I import an image into my sequence, it usually has a way higher resolution than the sequence itself, so it looks like this. It covers up everything, and I don't want that, so I right click on the clip and then search for scale to frame size, and then it shrinks to, well, the frame size, and then I can work with it much better. But, well, I don't want to right click every time I look for that, so I made a shortcut, and I made this key, to be honest I have no idea what this key is called, but I made this key the shortcut for scaling it to the frame size. So now when I import an image, I just hit that key, done. I do not need to do any right clicking and searching for the right tool. Tip number 5 is quick searching your footage. So when editing bigger projects with a lot of footage, that can get very confusing because you just have so many clips. And when editing in the timeline and you know, oh, I'm looking for the clip that I filmed after filming this clip, a lot of you might just be going through the library and double-clicking each clip and checking what clip it is so that you know which clip you want to drag into the timeline next. But there's a much easier way to do this. You just right-click on the clip that you know is the clip you filmed before the clip you're looking for, and you look for Reveal in Project. If you click that, Premiere will then highlight the clip that you just revealed in your project. Makes sense, right? So therefore, you know the next clip under that, or next to that, is the next clip you filmed, and there you go. That's how you find it really easily. And now you can combine this with the keyboard shortcuts. So I made my key E, which I never used anyway. I replaced the shortcut that was on E for this tool. So now I only need to hit the key E, and there you go. That's your clip you're working on at the moment, and the clip under that is your next one. Sometimes you might find that the clip under that isn't your next one. That might be because your clips are out of order. To fix that, just click on this icon right here and then choose order by name, because your camera gives you clips names in a chronological order, and Premiere will then understand which clip you actually shot next. So tip number 6 is ripple deleting. Some of you might know this already, but those who don't, you'll like this one. So let's imagine you're in the middle of an edit and then you think, this clip actually I don't need it, I'll take it out again. And then you have a gap in your timeline, and maybe 16 clips following. Some completely crazy, inefficient person might actually select one clip after the other and push one after the other into the gap to fill the gap. Some less crazy person might select all of them and then push them into order, but there's still an easier way to do this. Ripple deleting is just basically deleting that gap. So all you need to do is pretend like that gap is a clip itself. So right click on it and you'll find the option ripple delete, press that and the gap will be filled and all the clips will follow. Another warning here, sometimes this also does not work because either above or underneath the gap that you're trying to ripple delete, there is a clip which cannot move. So usually that's a really long adjustment layer or just your music track. So all you need to do then is just go to the lock sign right here, activate that, and Premiere knows, oh, this does not need to be affected by the ripple delete, and then Premiere's all fine, and you can do the ripple delete. So tip number 7, the last tip of this video, is Snap. Many of you probably know Snap already, but for any beginner who doesn't know Snap, this could be very helpful and maybe help you in some frustrating moments. Because, as you know, if you drag clips around, they kind of snap together, as the tool is called, and that makes attaching clips to each other very easy. But at some point, like it happened to myself, it doesn't work anymore. They just don't snap, and it gets really frustrating because you might cut clips even though you don't want to cut them. What probably happened is that you pressed S by mistake and you didn't notice any difference, so you thought, oh, that's not a shortcut. Well, that's not true. If you look at the little magnet icon right here, you'll notice by pressing S, you'll either activate or deactivate it. So, in case your clips are not attaching easily, just check if that magnet is blue or not, because if it isn't, it's deactivated, and that is the snap tool which makes the attaching so easy. So to fix that, just press S and you're all fixed. You can attach your clips really easily again. So, that's actually already 7 tips to become a more efficient editor. By applying all the 7 tips I just gave you, your editing workflow should become way more pleasant and a good bit faster. So, if you found some valuable information in this video, leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you again next week.